Okay guys, whether you're in Photoshop, Illustrator, or another multimedia class through CCC Online, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a quick orientation with you because it's a little bit overwhelming and you really have to read in this class to be able to figure out what you need to do. So my recommendation is at the start of the week or the start of a module, what you need to do is go to the syllabus, click on your schedule, and it'll be in the same place in your syllabus or the Get Here or Start Here Now module, whatever it may be. Go to the syllabus section and figure out what module you're working on and what you need to do by the due date. So let's say we're just starting this class and our due date is February 1st. Then we need to work in module 1, do some discussions, and do the assignment. Before you actually do the discussions and assignment, you kind of have to orient yourself to what content is in the module so that you're aware of where everything is. So instead of just hopping right into the assignment or discussion, I would go back into the content area and check out what's happening in module 1. So I'll just do a really quick overview with you of the things that are in this module. So we have an introduction and an activities list, and this tells you what you need to read, what you need to do, all that good stuff, so it's really helpful. The exploration is going to have lecture notes, videos, and pay attention to those because the video in this particular module for this particular class we need to use for our discussion. So make sure that you click on each one of those, and if you click on them, you can use the left-right arrow to just navigate through all these different pages. So this gives you a little to-do list, and then here are all the exploration resources. We have an introduction, some videos, design principles videos, which we'll use for the discussion, and additional resources and chapter notes. So let's go back to module 1, and notice when you click on the top module 1, you can see all of the information for that module, but it has been divided into easier chunks for you. Now, the one thing I want to point out is that there is a chunk here for textbook. When you're in the first module, you'll see this registration info page. This tells you how to register for the actual ebook, the textbook that's online for this course. Make sure you do that. Make sure you update your browser and that you have a modern browser. Please try to use Firefox or Google Chrome or, really anything other than Internet Explorer. So once you have an updated browser and you can get into the book, this shows you Ebook Chapter 1, Getting to Know Illustrator, Ebook Chapter 1 Interactive Quiz. It's ungraded, but if you want to take it and practice, then that's great. Then we have this Ebook Chapter 5. So these are just the actual links to the book, and when you get into the book, it'll open a new window like this, and I highly recommend having maybe your program over here and your book over here so that you can work through the actual chapter, read the information about your software, and do the exercises. But before you actually start reading the book, it's a really good idea to just continue looking through the Module 1 stuff just to see what's there. So if we go to the student files, this is important because this is where you can download the starting file and some files for the actual chapter, the data files, the files that they might ask you in the book to open up and then start modifying. So make sure you download these files, extract them because they're in zip files, and organize them. Maybe make a folder on your desktop that says like Illustrator class or Photoshop class, and then maybe you make a folder called Chapter 1 or maybe a folder called Module 1 and put all your stuff for that module in that Module 1 folder. So you can download those files. If we scroll through, you don't need to do the assignments right now because you can't, because you haven't actually done the chapter, but this gives you an idea of what you need to do. So there's a particular assignment with this one that you actually download from the D2L interface, so M1 starting, which is what we just saw back here. So we saw this M1 starting file. So that's the file I need to complete this handyman project. And then as you go down, it says download the textbook data files to do the chapter work outline below. So you're going to download those files, which we actually did in the previous step. We put it here just in case you didn't do that step. And then it says complete and submit the following chapter work. Now, when you work through the chapter, it's actually going to have you do 5, 6, maybe 10 different activities. I don't want to grade 10 different activities. So work through that chapter and then just know at the end, I'm going to ask you for specific activities that you did for you to turn those in. So in this instance, I'm asking you to do the activity that you will create called basicshapes.ai and another activity that you'll work on called directselections.ai. And then you're going to need to make screenshots of those, and then it'll tell you exactly what you need to turn in. You need to turn in the basic shapes, the direct selections, and the handyman file, which we saw up here. So and these are the 3 example images, just so you know what you're doing with this. So again, I'm just running through this module and I'm not really reading it in detail. I'm just kind of getting an idea of what I need to do and where everything is at. So then we have these discussions, and if I go into this discussion, it tells you view the design principles video in explorations under module 1 content. Well, I think I remember actually seeing that. So see, this is why I ask you guys to kind of review the information for a module first, because now if we come here, there's the exploration page, and then we go to design principles, and you should see the videos that it's talking about. So these ones are the ones that you would watch before you actually did that discussion. Now let's talk about your assignments a little bit in depth. Once you kind of know what you're doing or what's in the module, maybe make a checklist for yourself of the specific things that you need to do, maybe a sticky note, and hang it on your computer so you know, okay, I need to do direct selections, basic shapes, the handyman assignment, and I need to read through the chapter and do the discussions. So once we have that idea, let's start with chapter 1. So let's say I'm reading through all of chapter 1, and you can go to the chapter contents, and I've worked through maybe lesson 1, lesson 2, and there's all activities and all of these things. But finally I get to lesson 4, and I watch this video and I read this information, and it's explaining how to do basic shapes. And don't forget to scroll down, because it's not always left right. So scroll down, keep reading, and then all of a sudden you'll get to these sections that have these light gray backgrounds and they have these orange numbers. These are the actual activities that you need to do. So for this activity, it'll say click file in the menu bar, click new, and create a document that's 8 by 8 dimensions, and name the file basic shapes. And there it triggers a memory to me. There on my sticky note with everything I need to do this week, I remember this is one of the activities that I need to turn in for this particular module. So that's fantastic. I'll just keep working through, look at the different images to help it out. And some of these activities might span across many lessons. So right now we're just in lesson 4. So I do what I can with that. Move on to the next lesson. So lesson 5, apply fill and stroke colors to objects. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just working through the book. And then see, it says verify the new square is still selected. We're still working on basic shapes. We're still working on that particular assignment. It'll tell you when you create a new assignment. So if I come into this assignment instructions, you'll notice that it says basic shapes through lesson 7. So don't just think it's lesson 4 that you do this document. It's actually 4, 5, 6, and 7 that you're working on this one particular document. So anyway, I hope that helps you out with this. Once you're done, you just need to make sure that you're participating fully in the discussions. I would get in 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week, read what people are doing and respond appropriately, and then just work through the chapter on your own, and just know that eventually I'm going to ask you for a couple of activities from that chapter, or I might actually ask you to do a separate assignment that you will have details for in D2L, or I'll give you a document for that you need to change some things like this one. And this is true whether it's Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign or any other multimedia class in CCC Online. If you have questions, please let me know.